Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Anatomy of Education. I'm Caroline Chen and I'm a current rising senior in high school. Today I had the wonderful opportunity to speak with Mr. Peter Antupit. Mr. Antupit is the current Chief Information Officer at Crystal Springs Uplands School. He's also been an educator for over 35 years, is a member of the Association of Technology Leaders in Independent Schools, and he is the winner of the Pillar Award, which he won in 2023. So today in my conversation with Mr. Antupit, we go into a variety of different topics, spanning from how he got into technology and education, his current work with AI and all the new technology that's been coming in, and also his perspective and thoughts on how students should be building a healthy relationship with artificial intelligence. So let's get into it. Thank you so much again for your time today. For my first question with you, I just wanted to ask you, can you share your path into working in education and what drew you into teaching and leadership within education?
Yeah, I'm happy to share. It's a little windy, but not so windy. So I have a learning disability. I'm dysgraphic. And throughout high school, I spent a lot of time in the Learning Resource Center getting support specifically around writing because of my dysgraphia. And so as I was getting ready to apply for colleges, I thought I'd look for something that had an education degree or certification program. Ended up in a school, a small liberal arts school in the kind of in the Northeast called Hobart College. Got a degree actually in psychology because you couldn't major in education, which was super cool. So this is going somewhere. This is not just so randomly like my resume, but ended up what you did is you took seminars in how to be a teacher, but you learned your subject matter. So if you want to be a math teacher, you were a math major and you learned how to teach math. Those kind of passion ways. And the same so with a moderate special needs degree is what it's called, to work with students with neurodiversity at a certain level. I ended up with a psychology degree and doing student teaching. Finished up all that, got my first teaching job at a school for dyslexics called the Landmark School out in the Boston area. And I taught there for 7 years. And, a lot of these smaller schools, you end up wearing a lot of hats. People talk about the number of hats they wear in schools. And so I was a residential team leader. I taught woodshop. I taught language arts. I taught math. I taught actually a social skills class, all of those things. And about year 3, the computer department head, if you will, decided that she needed a little help in the department. So I ended up just teaching a logo, really basic programming, mostly typing class. And then at the end of that year, she was like, peace out. I really want to be teaching education, outdoor ed. So I'm gone. And so I fell into the role, which was not something I'd ever done. I've never done really any programming. I've never done anything, you know. So I was in charge of this small department, really small department. There were really, I think, 2 of us. I was tech help. I was, instructor, whatever, budgeting, and actually like crimping network cables by hand because we were on a shoestring that way, like literally swapping RAM chips out of computers, etc. But also really invested in the education part of it all and trying to find software that worked for kids. This was school, again, just for dyslexics. And I found that really interesting. I really liked working with other faculty members to try to figure out how they might integrate technology into a very specialized population that had really strict methodologies for teaching reading and instruction. I really liked all of that. So I went to graduate school for technology education at Harvard, got a degree there, did a couple of internships in some public schools while I was there. It's a very short degree program. It's a 1-year degree. And came out of that and got a director of technology position at a small K-8 school, 300 students in the Boston area, in Concord, Massachusetts. And that's where I really developed much more of my skill set, my craft, all of the things, the networking, but also really working with teachers and integrating technology in, and really honed a lot of those skills in terms of management and such. It was a larger department with more people, et cetera. And then it's a sad story, but I will divulge it here. I tell it freely that, the head of school changed over and all of a sudden I found myself without a job. And so I just was like, I need a job. And so I did but way before LinkedIn, there were these job fairs essentially, and you would go to these job fairs and you would look for a job. And Crystal was on the list, and it was a really good match. And so I took the job here. I was fortunate; I had a couple of job offers, um, and ended up at Crystal. Moved my family out here. Luckily, we had some family in the Bay Area, so that was nice. And it's been a great match for me, for my son, who's a graduate of Crystal. My wife, who's a learning and reading specialist, has had a couple of jobs in the Bay Area working in schools and such. So it's been great for us. That's my journey. Along that journey at Crystal, I started working with an organization called the Association of Technology Leaders in Independent Schools. And they've been around about 10, 11 years. And the past 10 years, I've been co-facilitating as a faculty member a little program that's the, what do they call it, the ATLIS Leadership Institute, where I've been working with other people who want to become technology leaders and thinking about what, so we work through a variety of skill sets there. And you didn't ask this, but, and that's been like my greatest professional development, has actually been working on that program. I'm not giving you a chance to say anything, so I'm just going to pause there.
Wow, you just like hit like five other questions that I was planning on asking you because I was actually planning on asking you about the Atlas part too, which is really
Yeah,
fun.
sure.
Like, anyways, that's like super interesting. And like, I didn't know you did all that before Crystal beforehand. Like, I've only known you within your role at Crystal.
Sure.
So I
Yeah.
think, yeah, that's super fascinating. Yeah. So, like, as a member of the Atlas Leadership Institute, so you said you work with like technologies and independent schools? Or...
Yeah. So it's really interesting. Atlas Leadership Institute focuses much more on soft skills, which are now being called more durable skills, in addition to giving people exposure to what it means to be an independent school as a technology leader. So we meet in person for about 2.5 days in a variety. We changes every year where we are. This past year we were in Columbus, Ohio. This upcoming summer we're going to be in Spokane, Washington, and it's like usually anywhere between 20 and 30 participants, and it's myself and a co-facilitator, and we run these workshops. This first is an intensive 2.5 days, and we go over like all sorts of things. And we're really working to try to get ed tech people to understand the hard tech, the boxes and wires, and the boxes and wires people to understand the ed tech people. At Crystal, I wear both hats, but in a lot of places, they're very distinct roles. And the two often don't talk to each other or even understand each other's language or why any of what they want matters to the other group. So we talk about everything from acronym soup, like because on the ed tech side, there are all these acronyms people use, like SAMR and da 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 da. And on the hard tech side, people are talking about IP addresses and COPA and FERPA and but all these other things. So we go through all these acronyms and try to come to a middle ground to understand why they're important in our industry. We do that. We do a lot of soft skill, again, durable skill work around like empathy interviews, like trying to be in somebody else's shoes, try to understand the questioning. And that transcends really technology, but just having a good working relationship with people. And that's a lot of what we found. Leadership is a key leadership skill, is just understanding where other people are coming from, and then taking on the role of customer service is a little bit mundane, but really like a customer service role, like understanding that you're here to help clients. And the clients happen to be teachers, colleagues, students, and parents. So all of your constituents. But what's great about this, and you asked a little bit, and I'm sorry, I will ramble, so you got to stop me, is that I learned so much from the other participants who feel that they're not leaders yet, and almost all of them are already leaders in some way. So we'll have like a slide deck up, and it's a really open, pretty informal conversation that we're having about something. And someone say, what we do at my school is this, or what I've learned from my roles is this. And everyone's like, oh, that's a nugget. I'm going to write that down. Or like, oh, can you talk about that more? And actually tomorrow, can we give you 10 minutes to just explain that further to the rest of the group? Because that'd be like super valuable. So it's this really energizing group that feeds off each other. And like I said, we've been doing this about 10 years, and there's an annual conference for ATLIS. And during the annual conference, the last day, there's a reunion. And what's great is to see these cohorts for the past 10 years get together again. And some of them have been in contact constantly over the past like 6 years since they went through the institute together. And some it's just a few people, but it's fascinating. They all keep the connection, and it's great to see all of them grow. And so like people who were in non-managerial roles have moved up to be chief information officers or director of technology or all these other things, or just taken on a much larger scope at their school. Like it used to be just the thin slice of their department, but now they're actually, an associate head at a school that's not even involving in technology, but just their leadership has grown. So it's really been great.
Wow, that's so interesting. And I also saw you won an award at Atlas. Yeah, I saw that one looking into that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it just means I've been old and been doing this a long time. But yeah, yeah,
Yeah, well, that's super cool.
it was a real honor.
Mhm. And like within like all your experiences, like what like forms of technology or just like education in general have, because I feel like you've been doing this for like a really long time, like before, even before I
Yeah.
was born. And
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah, you
yeah,
can see the bald spot now.
and
Yeah.
like no. I'm just saying like because like you've been at Crystal for a while, like were you like before like the whole AI and like
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
everything being digital? And like what ways have you seen like technology or like education like have the biggest impact on the learning experiences of students?
Yeah. Um, like there's the way to go down the negative route that's inhibited some of the best learning possible. And it always comes down to a couple of things. And it's not like a actual device. Like the iPad's great. I'm a big fan because the battery life's great, like the writing nature of it, because there's so much documentation about how handwriting is critical for learning, and retention, et cetera. That's way back from my special ed days. I will say that the thing that I hope technology continues to do, I'll answer it this way, is to give student agency and to help deepen understanding. And I think that's actually where AI starts rolling into this even more than it used to. I also, so do you want me to go down that road, or do you
Yeah,
want?
go
uh,
ahead.
I think that's where AI can really help.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's the never-ending tutor that
Mm-hmm.
will have a conversation with you in French for days, and it doesn't care. I
Yeah.
mean, however wonderful your tutor, your parents, your friends are, at a certain point, they're done helping you study. AI doesn't care. It'll just keep going and going and going, and it'll hone, right? It'll learn what you need to know. And if you give it direction on why you're doing something, as you know, like it gets better and better. So, and the AI you used yesterday is not nearly as good as the AI you're using today, which is not as good as the AI that's going to be there tomorrow for you. So, if you found as a student that it didn't meet your needs last week, try again because it probably meets your needs today. So that's like the agency part. Like I can do this on my own and I can get better on my own because I know what I need to do and AI can help me get there. The deepened understanding is also there, right? Like your teacher worked hard to get you to understand and they tried three different ways and it just didn't click. And now AI can help like break it down again. And it doesn't care that it has to find six more ways to explain it to you. It write Notebook LM, you can take a quiz, it'll give you a visual, make a podcast, it'll do a slide deck, whatever you want. And then if you didn't like any of those, click refresh and just do it all over again. It is there to help you learn more deeply and to give you some of the background knowledge of it all. So I think that that's where technology, where we always hoped it would go, is the agency and the relentless nature to give you a deeper understanding of things.
Yeah, I definitely resonate with like a lot of the stuff you've been saying because like especially this year with like you guys teaching us how to use Notebook LM and like I think honestly just like AI being like advancing quickly. Like for example, when I was studying for AP Calc, I was just like, if I didn't know a problem, I'd just take a screenshot and put it into Gemini, and it just like
Yeah,
in it to me. Like
yeah,
I think it genuinely like helped me learn so much more.
yeah. And the AI tools are becoming a little more specialized before they'll come back to a conglomerate. Like we're going to be playing around with a pilot that was specifically built as an AI tool for STEM students. So it just does math, chemistry, physics.
Oh, wow.
It's not the broad one, right? Because that's one of the places where we've seen AI fail
Mhm.
is on calculations, on actually understanding mathematics in general. And so this tool is built with that as a back end on a different kind of LLM to be able to do just that STEM work. Um, so, yeah.
Yeah. And like I feel like you're kind of touching on this, but like the definition of like a student being like sorry, digitally
Digitally literate.
that's
What
a
you're talking about?
digitally literate. It's like
Yeah.
it's probably shifted over the past few
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
especially with the implementation of AI into like
Yeah.
learning every day,
If I can bring you to the way back, like way back in the day when you had to learn how to search the internet, you need to know how to use a Boolean search, or when you were searching a database. Like, what is a Boolean search? It's like how you use and, or, colons, parentheses, quotes, all those kinds of things. You almost needed, not quite, but a cheat sheet next to you because databases were built a little differently. Like way back in the day when I was in graduate school, sat next on a terminal and it would look through education journals to find articles that would be relevant for my work. And that was light years better than going through indexes that then would tell you where to go to find the microfiche, the da 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 da, right? But you had to have the right search terms and you know how to put them in. And then search engines started using them. And then it was like, well, it's just natural language. And here we are again. It's now digital literacy is so much more about asking the right questions, um, and knowing when you need to refine a question. And that transcends digital literacy at this point. That's actually just critical thinking and lifelong learning now.
right? Yeah. I think, yeah, that's super relevant to what we're doing at Crystal today with like whether it be like the AI committee or like just like students in their day to day. Like they can choose to like use AI to like help them learn, or they can choose to like plug in answers that they can just reword and put into an assignment. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's definitely like you can go one way or you could go the completely opposite direction.
Yeah.
Like I know you've like been in education for a really long time, and I was just wondering, like, with the adoption of more like technology into learning, like before the whole AI thing, did people have the same reaction to when AI is being adopted, or was there like a lot?
Yeah, that's a great question. Wikipedia was highly contentious when it
Really?
was, oh, huge. Like, how do we know that they're an expert on this? How can we verify that? Well, anybody can just go in and change it. What do you mean? And for a little while, it was definitely the Wild West. And then it shifted out and experts rose to the top and became ownerships of articles and and it is now for the most part, considered a place of truth.
Hmm.
You know, so, and referencing primary material, primary source material, and it democratized that. What do I want to say? Its source of truth in that way. Um, but that's where we are with a lot of technologies. Like there was like, can't we block Wikipedia? Well, yeah, we can block Wikipedia, but you can't block the internet. Because but now you would never, I as an educator would never think of blocking Wikipedia, right? So this is where we are. So in terms of, if I remember the original question, because I'm rambling and only slightly caffeinated at this part of the day, um, that was a technology that really changed things, and we're seeing that sort of thing again, right? How do you know that it's true? How do you know that it's not true? Well, you always have to use a critical thinking lens. Like, does this really make sense? Can I collaborate and can I find correlation? Can I find I can't even say the word. Evidence in multiple from multiple sources that this is true.
Hmm. Yeah, I think we definitely learned that a lot in class, whether it be like biology, like using the CRAP test, CRAP, that's what Mrs.
Yeah,
says.
yeah. Yeah.
stuff like that. And I think that also we get told that with like AI a lot, like make sure you double check whatever it's saying
Did
because
you see there's a, and this will be outdated by tomorrow, but there was a book recently, and I didn't catch the title, all about truth in AI. And it turned out that the author used AI and AI hallucinated sources that the author put into the book.
no way.
Yeah. That's
That's
just
so
blown up like the
funny.
last couple of days. It's like, you gotta do it. You gotta do the research.
Yeah.
I mean, it's there as a helper. It's there as a companion, as a co-writer, as a thought partner, but it can't be your only source of truth at
Mhm.
this moment.
Yeah, for sure. And like kind of touching on that because I know you kind of work at the intersection between like technology and like learning science and education. And it's kind of like even with all this tech, like how do students still experience like productive struggle? Because I know,
Yeah.
I mean, like coming from me, like when I was in late elementary school, middle school, my parents put me into this like math tutoring program. And like thank God AI did not exist back then because I just like I'd take every question and like put it into Google. And there's this like super awesome website called Brainly that often just had the answer down there and I just put
Yeah.
it in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just like stuff like that, like because kids often don't have the understanding that it's like for their own good that they don't just do that. So like how do you ensure students still experience this like productive struggle even with AI like being there? Sorry, that was a
It's
long question.
no, that's a great question because it's what we all want our students to have. And I would argue that most students want the work that is productive struggle and not grind work or busy work as it has been called in the past, right? Doing 40 of the same problem is not necessarily, doesn't feel like productive struggle. Um, Finding out, that there's always been I want to take a good example, but I've got a bad one instead. Like in math, I used to have sometimes we would teach math in a way where it would give you all the problem, but actually there'd be mistakes in the proof. And your job was to find the mistake in the proof. Is where did it go off the rails? And
Debug.
that's much more interesting than do 17 proofs,
Mhm.
right? Um, because you had to have that productive struggle and it brought you into the problem. Like you're now going to actually solve what went wrong as opposed to doing the same thing 17 times. So unfortunately, a lot of this lands on teachers. And I say unfortunately because AI's made it more difficult to ensure productive struggle. Let's just name that, right? It used to be that you could do the same things you've done before, and you knew that students would have productive struggle. There'd be enough friction for learning to happen, and that was all good. And it really was all good. And it may have felt like a grind, but it really was all good. You now have to AI proof things in a way that teachers need to redesign their work that they're asking students to do that is still productive struggle, but AI proofed.
So it just
And
extra step in.
it's an extra step. And I heard, and I can't remember where it was, there was a school that actually has office hours where teachers go and talk to students and have them very honestly talk about how they would go about and do this homework assignment or this project with AI.
Oh,
And
wow.
so they actually have a conversation about how to AI proof something and still make it meaningful, or AI companion, thought partner, brainstorm, or whatever, but still have productive struggle.
Mhm.
And it was a really fascinating thing to hear about. Um, and I think, like Ask the AI Committee would be like the perfect place to test that for faculty to think about AI proofing and keeping productive struggle at the forefront.
Yeah, yeah. I think, wait, that's super interesting because I know like some students probably wouldn't be too excited about the idea of AI proofing all the assignments, but
Right.
I'm also sure like other students, like members of the AI community, would definitely be like more than happy to work with teachers because I think they provide like the student perspective and like they know all the shortcuts and like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like,
But
yeah, I think that's super cool and I could see. like the AI committee doing something like that as well. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting off topic to
No,
ask.
not at all. But that's where I think it goes when we talk about where there's the productive struggle happening. There's a significant part that has to happen, I think, where faculty are partnering with students
Mhm.
and being explicit about why they're asking you to do something. Like,
Yeah.
I'm actually asking you to do 30 sets of these,
Mhm.
although it's repetition, because I want it to be repetition. You need to learn how to do it so it becomes second nature. It's because then once you have that skill, we can get to the really interesting stuff. But there is this point of which you do have to know the skill to get to the interesting stuff,
Yeah.
right? So there that whole part of it. Um, and yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Well, yeah, I think like Crystal's definitely taking a really great approach to AI. Like, I think I've probably brought this up like in front of you or to you before, but when we were in Houston at the AI conference, like, and when I was talking to like so many other high schoolers from across the country, they were like complaining about their school, like you said, like banning Wikipedia or just saying like, no AI, period.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it wasn't working. Or like even worse, there were students talking about how like in their schools, teachers were using AI to grade like free response assignments and like all their
Mhm.
assignments. And it like they weren't happy that teachers could use AI and they couldn't use
And
AI.
they couldn't, yeah.
And then like that it was just like a whole thing. And like I'm really happy those problems aren't really there at Crystal because like I know like you all like you, Miss Rubin, like all the people in charge of it, like do a good approach with like Notebook LM or like just teaching students how to use it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is absolutely a crystal a team effort, and that totally helps. I mean, I'm in a lot of ways in the periphery, and it's happening so much in the department chairs and with Ms. Rubin and Ms. Carlton and Ms. Short. I mean, there's such a team. I mean, we have a PAC AI committee that deliberately talks about these things and runs through survey results and all sorts of things. And um, it is such a lift, and it's a mandate that's important for us to hear because it's important to our students. Because our my biggest fear right now is exactly your grade. Like if we're moving too slowly, you and your peers are going to be at a deficit to what the world is going through right now. I'm not so worried about middle schoolers at this point because I feel like we'll get there and we'll figure out what we're going to do. But we're at this moment, so it's the class of 2025, probably to the class of 2030 that I'm most concerned about. It's a little bit like that COVID section
Yeah.
of kids that missed different parts of their schooling, which you did as well, right? What grade were you in when COVID happened?
Going into sixth grade.
Yeah,
So
right,
middle school.
right. So it's that same kind of gap that if we don't figure it out, where
Mhm.
there's going to be a hunk of students that are going to be at a disadvantage, and it was our responsibility to not let them graduate at a disadvantage. And I
Mhm.
think we're doing it. I think we're moving along. We're having conversation. Ms. Rubin pulled up a slide the other day that showed all we've done over just this past year. And it was shocking how many things we've worked on as PAC in various areas. And she said, "Did I miss anything?" And everybody went around the table and said, "Oh yeah, don't forget this and this and this." And there were six other things that obviously won't even fit on the slide, but we are trying to move it forward in service of students to
Mhm.
make sure that you're prepared for what we don't even know exactly the future is.
Mhm.
And one of the ways we're trying to do that, and I'll speak from the eye, is I hope we're talking about, what we've always done at Crystal is critical thinking, talking about, connections with teachers in terms of like asking questions and feeling comfortable to challenge what's going on. That's really critical. The other part of it is just the importance of what I was talking about earlier with the with the ALI cohort at Atlas is the durable skills that they're now called, the communication, the being able to just have a conversation, to look at somebody in the eye, all of those kinds of things, to have empathy. That those are the skills that are going to be so critical in an AI forward world.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
that's
I'm not the one to come up with that. That's other people. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I know we're running out of time soon, but I just wanted to end on one final question. Like,
Yeah.
how do you see like the world of like AI and technology affect students learning like in the future? Like, do you have any predictions on how it's gonna go? Because I've asked this to like a variety of different people and I've gotten a variety of different answers.
It,
So yeah, I was just curious.
I want to take the cop out and just say I have no idea because it's so fast.
Uh,
It just has. I think it's going to affect students. I'll go back to the durable skills. I think that's where we're gonna find people excelling is people who can make connections with other people,
yeah.
and that in that role because the machines aren't taking over, but the machines are taking over. Um, and so being able to figure out how to manage people, to be able to manage yourself, to tackle difficult situations, conversations, and projects are going to be what's really key because the just like we've seen with coders, some of these tasks are just going to disappear. My mother was what's called a travel agent. I don't even know if you've heard of that role before,
Wait,
but
we learned that in English.
huh?
Uh,
Yeah. So like she would help people book airline tickets and hotel reservations
fun.
because as a regular person, you couldn't do it.
Mhm.
You had to be a travel agent to do it.
Wow, so society's
I
evolved a
mean,
lot.
it's always continued to do this, but that role was gone,
Mhm.
almost gone. Yeah.
Mhm. So what you're saying is like the most important, like even though we don't know what's going to happen, like the most important skills for students to develop are what you said, like durable or like soft skills, like it's like
Yeah.
communication and critical thinking. That way they'll be ready for whatever happens.
Yep. Empathy. Yeah. All those things that we do in advisory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's going to end up being the really important stuff. That's my prediction.
I see. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to stop recording. Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed my wonderful conversation with Mr. Antupit. A huge thank you to Mr. Antupit for taking the time to speak with me, and thank you all so much for listening. I'll see you guys next time.